And welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Inside Edge Network presents Thursday Topics. I'm Eli Moon. To my right, your left, over there watching out there is Chad Bryan. And we are going to talk about quite a lot of topics here in the sports world as it's been a busy week. And we want to catch up with you. So, again, Inside Edge Network here. Eli Moon, Chad Bryan. Chad, before we get into any of this here, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I am buried in snow right now. We kids had a snow day today. It got wild. The whole whatever lake effect snow warning. Sometimes you get a little bit. Sometimes you get a lot. We got a lot today, man. So we're buried in snow. Got to go clean the driveway tomorrow. It's fun to look at. It's not that much fun to go do work in. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, man?
I hear that, man. No, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. A lot of snow here as well.
Okay.
I am a summer baby,
Yeah.
so I joke with my parents all the time. I'm a West Coast baby born in the East Coast state, and so here we are. I did not try to step out too much today. I had like a delivery package I had to grab. I DoorDashed some food, made sure we took care of the driver, obviously. Bringing the food,
There you go.
and I've just been thinking of sunny days, Chad. Sunny days.
They're gonna listen in like 11 and a half months. Winter's gonna be over, Eli, and summer's gonna be here. I think it's 11 and a half months. It feels like that might be.
Okay. Look, me and Papa Moon, we're talking about the winter, and we both have the same sentiment. And we may be looked at crazy from other Ohioans. We said all we got to do is make it through February, right? Because everybody has this misconception that we make it all the way through March and it's cold. I can remember St. Patrick's Day being 60, 65, and
Yeah.
the week leading up to that. So I really think I'm with Papa Moon, Chad. I think if we just make it to the end of February and we get a little luck from the groundhog, then maybe we're there. Maybe we're there.
I love the optimism. I will tell you this: I got married at the end of April. It was a long time ago, not recently, not that long ago either. I'm not that old. But
Yeah.
anyway, we got married in April, and I had a doctor's appointment. It was 3 days before the wedding, and we had like 12 or 13 inches of snow. And I mean, we had people coming from Georgia, from Texas, everywhere, right? And I was like, this
Yeah.
is going to be a disaster. I mean, an absolute disaster. And then 3 days later, on the day of our wedding, it was like 87 degrees. It was a complete 180. So you just never really know, honestly. It's Northeast Ohio. You never know.
Yeah. No, for real. And for anybody with sinus issues right now in Cleveland or Northeast Ohio, they are going through it. So,
Absolutely. I'm going
my
through it.
goodness. I'm right there with you, my friend. I'll tell you somebody who's not going through it. If you're a New York Giants fan, you're definitely not going through it, at least right now, because it appears that the New York Giants have the hottest coach off the market. Official reports coming in from multiple reporters. First to seem to have it was New York Post Paul Schwartz. John Harbaugh, Giants close to finalizing a deal here to become the next head coach of the New York Giants, Chad. And obviously there's some reports of, John Harbaugh might be $1 million man here with this contract. It's going to be a longer contract. We're waiting to see all the details come out before we speculate on all that. But I guess like just thoughts, right? I mean, I know that's the basic question, but like thoughts, because we're not even really a true 2 weeks removed from John Harbaugh being available for these NFL franchises. Over a quarter of the league has an opening at head coach. Not anymore as of today, but or excuse me, yeah, they still do. It's still about actually an exact quarter of the league, 8 teams.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's like the hottest coach off the market. He goes to New York. What are your initial thoughts as far as was this the right move for Harbaugh, and was it the right move for the Giants?
These things are so hard to forecast. I certainly don't think it was a bad move for either side. The thing it does for the Giants, I think it gives them an immediate identity, right? I can't remember. Maybe the last time the Giants had a significant identity was I don't know, Tom Coughlin when they were winning Super Bowls, the helmet catch, Eli Manning, all that.
Mm.
Granted, those roster, you had the whole remember the entire defensive line was defensive ends at one point, like 12 guys
Yeah.
out there. They were always fresh. They kind of revolutionized that. The Eagles, I think, took a little bit from that, moved on, whatever. I don't know. I mean, listen, it feels bad if you're a Browns fan, so I guess that makes it feel like the right move for the Giants because it feels like they're set up. He certainly could have gone to the wrong place. Listen, he didn't. I don't think the Giants have Jackson Dart. They have Cam Scatterboo. pending he can come back from a pretty gruesome injury. Malik Neighbors is there. They've got some pieces to work with on offense, which
Mm-hmm.
if you really look at it objectively, and you're a Browns fan, I think you probably knew John Harbaugh wasn't going to consider the Browns, right? Anywhere he went was going to have some semblance of an offense in place. I don't think the Browns are looking at a complete rebuild, but I do think they're looking at an offensive complete retooling. So is this the move for the Giants? Yeah. I mean, it feels like you get a guy in there that, he's more of a – now, listen, if the rumors are true that he's going to bring in Todd Monken, they've worked well together. Monken is a guy who, again, kind of a tough, gritty, physical, run-first type of offense, right? That's what the Browns wanted. Again, it makes it feel bad to you if you're a Browns fan. So, again, it makes it feel like the right move for the Giants because, well, they did something we wanted to do, right? Like, we wanted to bring in Todd Monken. We wanted to bring in John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I think it's a good match. Now, listen, whether or not it works out, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to forecast those things. But I think initially speaking, Giants and John Harbaugh, that sounds great.
Yeah. And honestly, the other thing, too, you brought up the quarterback, Jackson Dart, Chad. I mean, this is a guy who likes to run the ball quite a bit. He takes off and he's not shy about it. He said if you watch him at Ole Miss the year prior, before this first NFL season for him, his rookie year, he did take off with the ball a lot. That's, what actually made him sought after by a lot of teams was his dual threat ability. And I just can't help but think wasn't there a running quarterback that John Harbaugh has worked with for like the past, I don't know, 7-8 years,
A guy on that roster. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously we're, talking about Lamar Jackson, a guy who, may not have the strongest arm, but has won MVP in this league, has won playoff games, so he hasn't got into the promised land yet. He has kept the Ravens continuously in relevancy, and part of that is Harbaugh, part of that's Lamar. I guess my point overall is Jackson Dart isn't Lamar Jackson, but he does have tendencies to take off a lot more. And if John Harbaugh can have those conversations, because I'd imagine there was a conversation when Lamar got there, way back when in Baltimore, 7-8 years ago, whenever. There was a conversation about, hey, you can run. We definitely value that you can create those opportunities, but we also need you to be there in the fourth quarter so you can, if we need you to win the game, you can win the game or whatever. I think that's going to be big for Jackson Dart's development. And those other guys you mentioned, Malik Neighbors coming back from injury, Wan'Dale Robinson, the wide receiver, too, had a great year for them, the Giants, that is. Scattaboo, the injury, but Jackson Dart, because it's a quarterback's league. And keeping him healthy and on the field, the Giants will be in more games. And now with an experienced coach like John Harbaugh, you'd imagine that they're going to win some of these games that they were very close to winning. They had a lot of games they were in, and they just couldn't get it done for one reason or the other. I think having a guy that has won those types of games is important to have. So,
Sure.
So and here's the crazy thing too, though, Chad. And we could be completely wrong in a whole year from now. We could be having a conversation about how the John Harbaugh experience was not good for the Giants. I mean, that's a thing to consider too. Not to slight him because he has a great resume. Harbaugh, 15 winning seasons and 18. 15 winning seasons and 18 seasons at Baltimore. I mean, multiple, playoff appearances, AFC North Division crowns. The guy's done it, but he's also had some good players around him in Baltimore. Ray Lewis and Ed Reed taking over. That defense was secure. Terrell Suggs was there too. And then you had, Lamar Jackson come in right after at quarterback. So what you lost in defense, you got the face of the franchise. So not saying that these guys in New York aren't good, and they're very exciting. I mean, I think this is the most Giants fans have been excited about their future on the field since they took that boat picture with Odell and all those guys. So, yeah.
Well, and I think it's good to have a coach, again, that brings in an identity. I think John Harbaugh does that. And his, lack of willingness to separate from Todd Monken, I think, is part of the reason he lost that job in Baltimore. So you would think now the next natural progressive move would be to bring Monken over. And I'll tell you, man, the offense didn't get quite as efficient and as explosive until Monken got there in Baltimore. It was serviceable. They did fine with Lamar Jackson. Like you said, he won an MVP. It's fine, right? He's a good quarterback. He's obviously a player, but it wasn't as efficient, until Monken got there. And if they team up again in New York, if that's the guy, if Monken is the offensive coordinator, I was just looking at his 1 year here as an offensive coordinator, and he was here, and it was turmoil. I mean, you had Freddie Kitchens as the head coach. We talked about it before the show. So some people think the locker room might have been divided, not even in just two ways. but in 3 ways, whatever that even means. I don't even know. Like I said, not an insider.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm not. I can only speculate on what I heard from other people in the press. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But during that year, and by the way, Odell Beckham, come get me. He wanted out of here. It was crazy. By the way, though, that offense was efficient enough to have Cleveland Browns had 2,000-yard receivers that year in Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. The Browns have only done that one other time in their entire history. It was 2007 with Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow. So, for what it's worth, I mean, the offense was extremely explosive and efficient his 1 year that he was here as the offensive coordinator. And I started to look through the stuff, Eli, and I was getting excited. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's not coming here. It's like, I'm like, back. And I'm like, no, he's probably going to New York. I forgot.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, that's a great marriage. I think he and Harbaugh work well together. I think they'll work well in New York. I think they've got the tools, young quarterback, young running back, young receiver. It's just about putting the right pieces, an offensive line around them and maybe one more weapon. And you're right there. I mean, they're really close to being a very good team in New York.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that. Obviously, you mentioned, kind of just shaping out the team. They got Abdul Carter. They just took in the draft last year out of Penn State defensive end. He is a havoc on the defensive side of the ball. And that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Kayvon Thibodeau, I believe, still on the other end there for the Giants. So, I mean, just a very, very impressive young core. See what they do in the draft. They're obviously going to have another high draft pick. And John Harbaugh will be calling the shots. Now, here's the other thing, too, to keep an eye on. This is an opportunity for the Harbaughs because now they have went back to different conferences. There's an opportunity. We get another. I mean, I'm not rooting for it per se, but there's an opportunity. We get a Harbaugh Super Bowl 2.
The Super Bowl. Yeah, the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. 2, the sequel. Chargers and Giants. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But obviously, big news. And you kind of talked a little bit about it, Chad. Obviously, we're Cleveland guys, right? So we're going to always ask, what does this mean for the Cleveland Browns? Yep. And with that, I'm going to pose you a question. Who is the best candidate for the Browns' next head coach? They've been doing these interviews, kind of still getting throughout the process. Everybody's still available at this point, besides John Harbaugh, and now it seems like Todd Monken. But I know we talked about his success. I'm okay with letting Todd Monken just stay with Harbaugh. That's okay.
That's fine.
He's made a visit here. Let's get something new here.
We can claim him. That's how that works. We can go, hey, that's one of our guys, right? Look what our next Brown is doing in the league.
Isn't that what Ohio State does with Joe Burrow? So, I mean, we can get away with it.
Exactly,
yeah.
Right.
So,
it's fine.
Yeah. With that being said, I think I have a few ideas on who I would think is the best candidate for the Browns' next head coach, but I'm going to pose the question to you first. Who is the best candidate right now?
I don't mind Mike McDaniel. I know that seems to be the logical. I mean, that's the direction everyone's pointing to right now. I like Clint Kubiak. I don't think the Browns have a shot at him. I don't know. I just don't even know if he's going to. I don't know. I don't know what the interview status is with Kubiak. I think his offensive genius would be well served here. I think there are some things that he could really. But again, without the proper tools, it doesn't really matter who you bring in. I mean, you can bring in the finest. I mean, we've had some of the best coordinators here, by the way, over the last 5 or 10 years. We've had guys that have gone on to have huge success in the NFL.
Yeah.
As coordinators in other places, as head coaches. We've had some really, really good coaching staffs here. But when you don't have the right kind of roster, not even saying that they haven't had great players, they have, but they haven't had a complementary roster. I think that's something that the Browns have struggled with. So really, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably going to be Mike McDaniel. I'm not sure if he's the best candidate to be the head coach, but I think he's probably, I don't know. He's more likely to I don't want to say listen to the Haslam, because you do have to listen to the owner. I mean, that's how jobs work. But I think he's less likely to be a wild card for when you look at Jimmy Haslam. Jimmy Haslam likes a certain amount of control. Realistically, was he going to go hire John Harbaugh? Probably not. It would have required probably elevating Andrew Berry to like team president or president of football operations or whatever. He would have needed another title because Harbaugh would have either wanted roster control himself or to bring in his own guy for GM. And then it's almost like now you've got a total wild card. You could be looking at a complete rebuild because the GM might come in here and look at the pieces that the Browns have and say, okay, here's a 53-man roster. I can work with like 25 of these guys. When you're talking about overturn on over half of your roster, I mean, you're essentially in rebuild mode, especially when you're coming off 8-26 over the last 2 seasons. So,
Yeah.
and again, I don't know. I mean, there's not much of we don't have a quarterback answer, right? We've got 3 guys on the roster that are huge question marks. There are free agents out there, but I don't think the Browns are in position to spend money on a quarterback right now. That's not going to happen. So all likelihood points to the fact that whoever the head coach is comes into Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson, and somebody that the Browns signed for depth in the offseason. And that's it.
Yeah.
So who's the guy? I don't know. Mike McDonald, they say, is an offensive genius. Come in and put your IQ to work, man, because, we need some creativity here. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Stefanski, the offense got old, it got stale, it got boring, it got very predictable, and it got very easy to defend. And we need the opposite of that, quite frankly. I mean, who do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, McDaniel seems to be the front runner. I know, my main event co-host and our bro Double A, he is not a fan of Mike McDaniel, and I'm sure if you've been tuning in, all you out there tuning in with us, thank you first off for spending your late night Thursday with me and Chad here on the Inside Edge Network, Thursday Topics. But if you go look on the socials, Double A is not happy. He called him his Miami Vice sunglasses and his attire that he wore for a rainy day in Cleveland was not appropriate. So Double A not a fan, but
He doesn't get us. Yeah, he doesn't get us.
But I mean, it seems like McDaniel's a front runner. You tend to like the offensive side of things for him, but yeah, you kind of already highlighted it, Chad. It's like he's a player's coach. Is he going to lose control of the locker room? We need somebody that's going to come in and yes, everybody's going to rock with him, but like when the going gets tough, we point to the guy who's going to guide us into the promised land. And right now, unfortunately, out of all these guys that are available, none of them have really been to the promised land, at least not as a head coach. The only one that was available that we think is available is off the market with John Harbaugh. More on that in a second. But to the Browns here, I would tend to think, so me personally, I know you mentioned Clinton Kubiak. That's the best candidate, in my opinion. I think that's the best candidate. And if not, you have to avoid the AFC North or these other teams poaching Jim Schwartz. And I know that sounds crazy, but at this point, it's like, if there isn't wow, this is for sure the guy for the next 10 to 15. Look at the Steelers. Look at the Ravens. We talked about the Ravens. We'll talk about the Steelers here, in a moment with Harbaugh and Tomlin now. But they had these 15. There are people in Baltimore, well, close, in Baltimore and in Pittsburgh, 18 and 19 seasons, spent their entire youth to becoming an adult with John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin as their head coach of their respective football team. Kevin Stefanski was here for 6 seasons, and we felt like we've been with him for a lifetime.
Yep.
And so if you don't feel like there's some dude that's going to guide you there for the next 15, 20 years, then you got to, I think, just elevate the guy who's in-house. And I'm usually not a fan of in-house hires, keeping, it what it was. But if anybody had the pulse of the locker room last year and had anything going good for the Browns consistently, it was Jim Schwartz and the defense. They did have laps. That's what happens when your offense is not even putting up 20 points a game for most of the year. But I just think, I saw some rumors, that he's going to be interviewing at other places, obviously, and I just get scared of the fact that he could end up in Baltimore or Pittsburgh. And the weakest part of Baltimore's their team was their defense. And I don't want to have another Baltimore run of just defensive stars. They already have Kyle Hamilton there. All they need to do is just surround some dogs around them, and we're back in bad news territory, Cleveland-wise. In Pittsburgh, the same thing. It's like, I just, he's a respected guy. He's somebody that, like, is going to be respected by an organization that everything they do is respectful. I can't stand them. They're our arch rivals in terms of, like, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, but me and Papa Moon were talking about this earlier. The Rooney seem to do everything right for the most part.
Even don't make mistakes at all.
Yeah.
I mean, personnel-wise, coaching staff. I mean, they've had 3 head coaches since the late '60s. That's insane. And it made me want to pose the question to Steelers fans. Like, I know we have probably some Steelers fans that tune into this, that watch at least peripherally. Do you feel pressure now for your organization to go get the next guy that's going to be there for 2 decades? I mean, is that the thought? I mean, or is it like, okay, well, whatever, it's 2026. We can be, a little more flighty. Guys come for 5 or 6 years and go somewhere else. I mean, do they want the next generational guy? I don't know. I mean, what a weird spot to be in for the Steelers right now. You know?
Absolutely, Chad. Yeah, and like we're alluding to here, Mike Tomlin earlier this week after the Monday night game on Tuesday stepped down as Steelers head coach after 19 seasons with the team, 19 winning seasons consecutively, never lost. To answer your question, Chad, I think it's interesting if you're the Steelers, like you have this long tenured history, but at the same time, what they haven't had really over that time was quarterback issues. Mike Tomlin has managed a really tumultuous, maybe that's not the right word, but just a not consistent quarterback room, I should say. He went from Ben Roethlisberger, and then it was Mason Rudolph, and then Duck Hodges, and then they threw in Justin Fields for a moment. They have tried everything to make everything work. Russell Wilson made a stop there in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Russell Wilson made it. I had to think there for a minute. I was like,
it's weird. I know it's wild.
It's crazy. And obviously Aaron Rodgers now, and we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, regardless, Tomlin's not there, but whoever picks up the Steelers job has a little bit of some work to do. It's not as clear cut as it would have been if somebody took over the job when Mike Tomlin took over the job. Okay, Ben Roethlisberger's there. He's already done some successful things here in the NFL.
Yeah.
And, you're walking into a spot where a lot of things are figured out, it seems like, and you just got to really just not mess it up and just build upon it.
You were just talking about the Steelers quarterback situation. It's crazy to think that we look at that as tumultuous. Meanwhile, we've got the Browns who've kicked the tires on everybody but Willie Beeman over here. I mean, we've had 44 quarterbacks in 26 years. Like, that's insane.
It is.
Oh, my gosh, man.
It is. And we can spend another, Thursday when we get back on here, because we're gonna incorporate other Inside Edge talent here. Stay tuned next week. Me and Chad, we love talking to you guys here on Thursday, but we're gonna mix it up here. We're gonna get some different crews in. But next time, maybe we'll have to do a who's your favorite Browns quarterback, and we'll do like a ranking of all 44.
It'll be film. It's a 3-hour thing. Yeah, it's gonna be a really long episode.
We'll have to find the highlights of everybody too. Here's Bruce Gradkowski, and some
the good thing is there aren't highlights of everybody.
That's true, but lowlights, yes. With that being said, with that being said, though, Chad, about Pittsburgh, it is going to be a mess of a situation. We'll see what happens with Rodgers. Regardless, if he does come back and he signs with Pittsburgh, he's going to be 43 this upcoming season. So it doesn't make sense if you're the Steelers and you're trying to really, okay, Tomlin is the end of an era. That is the end of an era. There's no Big Ben, and now Tomlin's not there anymore. That is the end. Pouncey's not there either. Marquise Pouncey, who was a long time center for those guys. Pretty soon Cam Hayward is going to be out. And that is like the old regime in my mind for Pittsburgh. Watt kind of starts, he's like in the middle of like the end of the Tomlin, but he's going to lead the next era. If you're a Pittsburgh fan out there, that's my take at least. So, but quarterback's a big issue. We just talked about it for the Browns and other teams. Who is out there free agency wise? You have Mac Jones. You have Daniel Jones, unless the Colts just bring him back. But he's also coming off, a pretty serious injury, and going to be recovering from a leg injury, right? So with that being said, now you look at Malik Willis. So your best three options are Daniel Jones, who figured it out for the Colts, had probably played the best football he's ever played in the NFL. And then he gets hurt season-ending injury, right?
Well, and then you bring him back on a prove-it deal,
I could see that, especially with, questions of Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard, looked good, but it was week 18 and, but, Mac Jones, San Francisco, he played very well in San Francisco, but I really, truly think anybody could be plug and played into Kyle Shanahan's offense, and they're going to look like they should get another chance at being a starter. And that's my take there. And then Malik Willis, he's interesting enough. I mean, I loved Malik Willis coming out of Liberty. I was so sold on him being the next, truth, the guy. And
he's got some raw tools for sure, yeah.
He's looked good in Green Bay, in relief for Jordan Love. But those basically are your best three options at quarterback. And that's not just for the Browns when we talk about them, obviously, a lot here, but the Steelers as well and these other NFL teams. So somebody taking on the Steelers job, the first big thing is looking at quarterback. Okay, wide receiver, it's DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin's got some promise, and a bunch of guys, respectfully. But nobody that's really done anything of note in the NFL.
What do you think, real quick, what do you think watching this last season of Daniel Jones has done to Anthony Richardson? I mean, do you think there's any kind of awakening inside for him where this guy goes, hey man, if Daniel Jones can come back, I can come back. I mean, I can kick the tires on trying to get serious here. Or are we still looking at the AR that's going to take a playoff because he's tired? I wonder, like, sometimes we forget about guys that just get lost in the shuffle. I mean, he could resurface somewhere, and you never know. There was plenty of potential there, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think he's interesting enough. And that's a very interesting question on Anthony Richardson. He's number 4 overall pick, former number 4 overall pick for the Colts. I mean, the big talk out of him out of Florida was he's got an arm.
Yeah.
Now, can he pinpoint where he's going to put the ball? We'll see. I mean, freak accident too, Chad. I mean, like the stretching band, the exercise band coming back and hitting him in the face. I mean, that's crazy, and I'm sending blessings his way with, the recovery as he continues with that. He said it really messed him up for a minute where he couldn't even see, for a long
is everything, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's tough for him. I do think there's an opportunity for him to get a second chance. Look, if Mac Jones is getting an opportunity again to start, and granted it was due to injury to Purdy, but put in a position to be the next guy in line, and Malik Willis, same with him, and Daniel Jones
too in Arizona,
Jacoby Brissett. I mean, what a crazy story, man. I mean, we were talking about him in Cleveland as just get a few games out of Jacoby Brissett. I don't think we would have been that bad off if we would have just kept Brissett maybe starting a little bit longer. We were so quick as Browns fans to put Deshaun in, and I mean, maybe not us as fans, more so the regime was excited to put him in. But I just Jacoby Brissett, man, crazy. But overall, not a lot of quarterbacks if you're looking for one, right, in free agency. Draft-wise, Pittsburgh
cut loose though. He'll probably go somewhere else now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you bring him in as a stopgap if you're one of these teams? I don't know. He's fun. He's a fun dude, man.
Dude, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I'll tell you this. I'm happy because this is my opinion on the Browns and the state of quarterback and everything there. I'm happy that the Browns are in a position where they can't draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
Unless they reach for Ty Simpson, it seems like right now. Or if like Lenore Sellers makes a huge rise in the draft, or Drew Aller, they start really, somehow. Dante Moore, obviously, announced that he's going back, the Oregon quarterback going back to school. Yeah. And that's big. Dylan Raiola from Nebraska had just transferred there, thinks he's going to be the guy, and now what? He might be transferring again, or does Dante Moore transfer? I mean, that's Lanning's guys, it seems like. So, but what it does for the NFL, because that's a whole different discussion on what it does for Oregon and like the Big Ten. Raiola, now you have 2 starting quarterbacks on your team. But for the draft, the Browns aren't in a position to really reach for one at 6, I feel like. So, in free agency wise, me personally, Chad, I'm cool on all those guys.
No.
I'd rather just give Shedeur Sanders one 17-game run, and let's evaluate it at the end of the year. Because, me and you kind of talked a little bit off air. This is not going to be a fix it in 1 year type of thing. You can have 100 draft picks, and there's a lot of holes on this offense. I mean, 100 is extreme, but regardless, it's
pretty close to being double the roster full of holes. Yeah.
It's bad, and it's we're gonna be able to get some depth, and you were actually talking about that. Some depth here in this draft, and maybe looking free agency, get creative with the line, because the line we've talked about it so many times across different shows here on the Inside Edge Network is just a little bit older, a little bit more injury prone. Yeah. So I mean, like, it seems like me and you are on the same page.
5 starters on day one, on during week 1 next year. Realistically, you could see 5 completely new starters on the line. So.
Yeah, and it seems like we're on the same page, though, Chad. Like, this isn't – we're not going to be upset if this team doesn't win 12 or 13 games next year. But we will – I think we share the same sentiment, though, where we will be disappointed if this is a 3-4 game, 4-win team next year. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, no, I don't expect it to be like that. Listen, unless you have identified Arch Manning or someone like that as the guy, right? If there is the guy – that you're 100%, no one can sway you. You've made your decision, which terrifies me with the Browns, because it's not like they analyze. I mean, they don't. The scouting and development, I don't know, it's non-existent. So anyway, if you have someone in the building, not Paul DePodesta anymore, who has identified Arch Manning as the guy, whether it's Andrew Berry, whether it's whoever you bring on as the new head coach. I mean, sometimes Jimmy Haslam has a little bit of input on these things, as we probably know. I mean, I don't know. We can't verify that, but it's been strongly suggested that Haslam has had, a little bit maybe too much influence on the draft and who we pick and who we take, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I don't expect it to be another 3-14 type of season. I think you have to – we talked about it in the draft. If Caleb Downs is there at 6, you take Caleb Downs. I know the need is offense. I get it. The need is wide receiver. The need is offensive line, and it's offensive line in such a bad way, you can't retool it in one season. I think if Caleb Downs is there, he's an Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu kind of guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You take Caleb Downs. That is the generational defensive player. I know they've got strong pieces on the defense. There's nothing wrong with putting Caleb Downs in that defensive secondary and letting him play football. He's a football player. He's a high IQ guy. He fills the hole as a safety in college like he's being shot out of a cannon. He's good enough in pass coverage that he's just a football player.
Yeah.
If he's there, you take him.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think you just layer on depth. You build from the inside out. You look at interior linemen. There's no tackle that really steps out to me in this draft as being the guy that you have to take at 6. I think you can probably get some depth. Second round. There are wide receivers. Wide receivers a little deeper than an offensive line, especially at tackle. I think that's the way you build this offseason. I think you build those depth pieces up, and then you identify whoever it is. If you have to throw a package together to go up and get a top 5 pick for Arch Manning or whoever your guy is, or if Shedeur Sanders develops into the guy here, which is very possible over 17 games. I mean, he's got the confidence, he's got the mindset for it. He showed some improvements. I think every time he went out, he got a little bit better in certain areas.
Yeah.
Some games didn't go well. He had not a lot of time in the pocket, in a clean pocket to throw the football. Let's be honest.
Right.
You have to look at the whole picture. You can't just put it all on him. You can't put it all on the receivers. You can't put it all on the offensive line. It's a total package. And the package wasn't good, Eli. It's not good.
Yeah.
We're going to need some upgrades.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. And I'm on the exact same page with you. Caleb Downs is 6. Best case scenario for the Browns, either take the best player available in the entire draft and you just make the defense Thanos level of good, or great that is. Or you say, hey, any team that wants Caleb Downs and needs an upgrade on defense, it's going to cost you a couple first-round picks.
Yeah.
But you can come.
Team, yeah.
Yeah, come grab Caleb Downs. I mean, he's available.
You're listening. The ringer's on, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, great position the Browns could be in. We'll see. Obviously, with Dante Moore, we just talked about him going back to school at Oregon, and we were thinking he's going to be a top 2 pick. So now the draft, the board shakes up a little bit. As we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, April's a little bit of ways still, but we got some time, Chad. We got some time.
Yeah, he got off the Raiders and was terrified. So I'm going back to school.
Yeah.
I agree. Not doing that.
He's like, Raiders, Jets, Oregon, NIL money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Austin Zoo, take the Nike money. Let's do it.
And he didn't win the national championship, so he can be like, I'm coming back to win a national championship for Oregon.
Finish business. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, finish business. Absolutely, Dante Moore. Absolutely. We're gonna take a quick pause here, Chad. We're gonna go over playoffs, but I think I'm gonna save that for the end of the show, and I think we're gonna give some everybody out there tuning in something to look forward to at the end of the show. See what game we're looking forward to the most here this weekend. AFC and NFC divisional round games for the NFL. So we're gonna take a quick pause. We're gonna let everybody grab a quick drink or a quick snack, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about a superpower in the MLB. I'm sure you've heard about them. They are the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Chad, you guessed it. They signed somebody else pretty good.
This is my shocked face.
That is the shocked face, ladies and gentlemen. That is Chad Bryan to my right, your left. I am Eli Moon. This is the Inside Edge Network. Follow us on all the socials at Inside Edge Net. This is Thursday Topics. We're back after just a moment or two. And welcome back, everybody, to the Inside Edge Network. This is Thursday Topics. I'm Eli Moon. To my right, your left is Chad Bryan. I guess we should introduce where we're from in case you'd like to tune into our other shows. We are from the Inside Edge Network, but Chad, you can obviously hear on Illegal Formation with TK Dandridge. They do a great job starting off your week and getting rolling. Chad, when can they hear you on the Inside Edge Network with Illegal Formation with TK?
Well, we are trying to migrate our way back to Saturday morning, believe it or not. Over the holidays, Saturdays became like logistics days, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but that's kind of what happened. But we're trying to get back to Saturday around 11 a.m.
Okay.
That's our ideal time. It was perfect right before college football kickoff. We get that last hour in. Got to talk about some of the matchups. So I think we're going to try to roll with that. For a while, we've been Monday, Tuesday, kind of depending on schedules, but we are trying to head back to Saturday at 11. I think that's our optimal time for now.
Perfect. And then also, Chad obviously does a great job with the guys Ryan Mosser and TK Dandridge doing the NFL Inside Edge preview show, the Inside Edge Network NFL preview show. That is doing a great job keeping us up to date on everything NFL and who you should really have your eyes on this postseason. And we're going to talk about that later on this show here. So stay tuned for that. I'm Eli Moon. Hear me on the main event Sundays. Usually around 8 o'clock. Sometimes we get a little tardy. We're late to the party. But we are Sunday evenings. We're rocking with you dang near till your Monday morning pretty much starts, about 12:31 in the morning. So rock with us there. And then I'm producing Real Talk with Papa Moon, my Pop's podcast here on the network, Inside Edge Network, Saturdays 5 p.m. So obviously once Chad and them are rocking out at Legal Formation, him and TK, you go right to Papa Moon right after. Stay with the Inside Edge Network. And then, of course, I just started off conversation with Eli Moon. Just had my first guest narrator, my big bro. So we'll check that out. It's available everywhere. So once again, Chad Bryan, I'm Eli Moon. And we're going to talk some MLB here. We're going to get back to business here with the sports. Chad, would you be shocked if I told you a team with a lot of money that plays in a really nice state, in a really nice stadium, and just won a World Series not too long ago? Like when I say not too long ago, I mean like literally just won the World Series.
Yeah.
If they just signed somebody, is obviously ESPN's Jeff Passan announced Los Angeles Dodgers signed outfielder, right fielder Kyle Tucker to a 4-year, $240 million contract. And that's a lot of money. That's a really good player.
Can he shoot the three? That's what I want to know. Can he shoot the three?
I don't think the Dodgers need him to because they'll probably find a few more guys that can do that.
Exactly.
What are your initial thoughts on this? Obviously not great if you're the 29 other MLB teams right now. But is this just at this point just getting old?
Yeah, maybe it's a little sour grapes. From a Braves fan that does. Yeah, I watch my team. They don't spend on free agency at all, which is fine. It keeps you from getting burnt. But the Dodgers have the Dodgers are handing out NBA money right now. They have so much room financially, and you can with all the deferred cash down the road. You can do whatever you want right now if you're the Dodgers. They literally are printing their own money. The ownership stake. This conglomerate of owners, multi-billionaires right now. They can do whatever they want, and I guess it does get a little old. You and I talked about it off the show. Every time there's a big free agent market in baseball, whether it's a pitcher, whether it's the premier guy, as far as, outfield, whatever, shortstop, whatever, catch, but it doesn't matter. It's five teams, right? It's the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs. And then everybody else falls in. Sometimes you get, you're shocked. I didn't know the Blue Jays had that kind of money to even be in the mix, but it always ends up going back to the Cubs, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, or Red Sox. It gets really, really old. Listen, I agree that some of these signings have not worked out. You can look at there are case studies of guys that signed huge contracts in Major League Baseball, and the Braves are one of those teams. They signed Mike Hampton, back in the 2000s. Never really worked. Mike Hampton was constantly injured for the Braves. It was a lot of money, a lot of guaranteed money. They didn't get their return. Mike Hampton's a great guy. It just didn't work out. And I agree, when you have a team that doesn't spend like the Braves, like the Guardians, you do tend to miss getting burnt on those free agent contracts, but you're also not the hands-on favorite to win back-to-back World Series like the Dodgers are. So does baseball need a salary cap, do you think, Eli? Do they have to do something to curb this?
I mean, so here's the thing. I don't know if a salary cap, and I know that's not the greatest thing to say if you're a Guardians fan watching this. You're like, well, come on, man, like give us a break. But I don't think we should punish the teams for having the money to spend. They built those franchises into what they are, and I mean, it sucks, but for the other teams, but it kind of is what it is, Chad. I think there needs to be, and we talked about this a little bit too, a salary floor
For sure.
where teams like the Pirates, the Guardians, these other teams that just don't spend money typically are going to have to spend some money. I'm okay if the Guardians miss out on a Kyle Tucker, for example. He's the hottest new signing for the Dodgers. I'm okay if we missed out on Kyle Tucker, and the Guardians definitely need outfielder help.
Yeah.
But I'm okay if we miss out on him because the Dodgers offered $240 million and we offered $140 million. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But the Guardians and these other teams aren't even throwing like an opportunity out there. They aren't even casting the fishing pole. They aren't throwing it out there to the ocean and seeing what they can get.
Yeah.
And if you don't take a shot, you don't swing the bat. My pops used to coach me in baseball pretty much growing up, and I wasn't great enough to make it very, very serious, but played all the way up, till I was about 18, and my pops would always say, take the bat off your shoulder. It ain't doing nothing on your shoulder, like you're not going to hit the ball if you don't take the bat off the shoulder. And the Guardians right now, it's a perfect analogy since it's our baseball team. They don't take the bat off the shoulder. And
I think the Bills would say, hey, thank you very much. That money is doing something. It's collecting interest in our bank account. So at least but it doesn't do anything for the franchise. No, not at all.
No. And it's like, you talk about the free agent signings and, falling on your face. And I get that, Chad. You mentioned the Braves having some swings and misses. I mean, I can think of an Atlanta Brave coming to Cleveland, Michael Bourne, and not being as good as he was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But, Nick Swisher, I mean, the Guardians have swung and missed. But they have nailed some ones, too. I get Edwin Encarnacion. We didn't win a World Series, but he was the bat we needed to like strike fear into opposing pitchers, into that defense, and let them know, hey, okay, you can walk.
Here's when he was here. Yeah,
exactly. You can walk Jose Ramirez or Frankie Lindor, but you're gonna have to go up against Edwin Encarnacion with 2 on the bases now. So good luck.
Yep.
And if you look at the recent track history, the Guardians have nailed the most recent big free agent signing, which was Edwin Encarnacion, which was now officially 10 years ago.
10 years ago, 2016. Yeah, unbelievable. I was just going to say it was a decade ago. It's wild to think that like there are a lot of teams out there. I think of the Marlins in particular. They don't even try to stop pocketing all that TV and all that league money and do something with it. I mean, I get it. It's your money. At the end of the day, you can do whatever you want. But I do wish there was at the very least a salary floor to require these teams to put something competitive. And now the Marlins may be a bad example because they won some games. I mean, they with a very low salary, they almost competed for that. I mean, the NL East was terrible last year. Off by being very bad. The Mets weren't what we expected. The Nationals are terrible. That division was very, very, very bad. So maybe that's a bad example too. The Marlins probably won some games they wouldn't have normally won when you have, the Braves and the Mets on top winning 100 games like you would expect them to be. Please get these lower end teams, the Pirates, the Marlins, the Rays, spend some money. I mean, put some money into the roster. Put a major league roster, not a we don't want the quadruple A rosters out there, right? We want to see major leaguers. We want to see guys. Like, come on, but field a team, man.
Yeah, and there was a lot of guys, or fans, I should say, mad at Francisco Lindor when he went and signed with the Mets, because they paid him. But we look at a guy who decided to take the discount, Jose Ramirez, and he doesn't sound too thrilled as of recent with the Guardians front office and more so it seems I'd imagine more so ownership, right? Because I think Chris Antonetti, the general manager, right, and these guys want to win. Like they're doing everything they can. Eventually, the Dolans just got to open up the pocketbook, and they're not doing so, and that's upsetting for Jose Ramirez. And I think it makes a stronger point for guys like Francisco Lindor and these guys that have got out of town to get the money because okay, you play one career, you got to get your money. And I get it. Frankie Lindor probably could have got his money, another contract after that. But at the end of the day, who are we to say he shouldn't be worth this much? He is a face of MLB at the time in Cleveland, and the Guardians, didn't want to pay him. The Indians at the time, Guardians now, whatever, didn't want to pay him. And
I'm never going to be mad at a guy for leaving, man. I mean, it just is what it is. It's your life.
Oh, we may have lost Chad here for a moment.
You're going to be loyal to, and then someone makes a better offer, and you go, hey, you know what? for not nearly the kind of money these guys are looking at, I've gone, yeah, that's probably a better situation. I'm gonna go ahead and move.
Yeah.
How can I be, how can I throw shade at guys who've done the same exact thing that I've done, just on a little bit bigger scale? But granted, I don't have 60,000 people showing up to my job cheering me on every day. But again, regardless, it's their life, it's their career, it's just these guys have to do whatever they want to do. Guys have different motivations, right? Some guys want to get serious, some guys want to go somewhere and be the guy. Some guys want to play with a short right field porch and hit a bunch of home runs, whatever. Guys just have different motivations, and they're going to leave. They're going to go sign with teams for different reasons. Who are we, man? We don't get to dictate that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. So obviously, that's the big news in terms of MLB. Earlier this week on Sunday, actually, Alex Bregman announced that he was going to be signing with the Chicago Cubs, leaving the Boston Red Sox. That's a big move too. But basically just two big city teams and just competing.
Don't feel too bad for the Cubs losing Tucker because they got Bregman to replace. It's fine.
Yeah, they're doing all right. They're doing all right. So with that being said, we're gonna
what do we do with all these checks? Come on, stop.
Yeah, oh man. Well, here's the good news. Maybe by the time next time we get together on a Thursday and discuss some sports news, we'll be talking about a Guardian signing.
Yeah, sure. Hey, a minor league contract guy on whatever. I'm done.
Look, he's got to prove it, man. He's got to prove it that he can get the major league money. All right. No, but that being said, that is our MLB talk here. Still a lot of hot stove action. We'll see as the free agency continues to ramp up. That is our MLB big news of the day. It actually just broke not too long ago before we got on the air.
Eli, winter meetings are coming up. You've got pitchers and catchers going to report. We're not far away from spring training and actual meaningful baseball. It seems like we're a really long way away. It's that football's dwindling down, but hang in there. Baseball's coming up. It's going to save us. The Cavs may not do it.
And we're going to talk about the Cavaliers here. That is an excellent pivot by my friend Chad here, as we're going to talk about a team that the Cavs, kind of a team that was a thorn in their side for their championship run. They're having a little bit of problem over there in the Bay, as ESPN's Shams Charania and Anthony Slater reported that Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga wants to trade out of Golden State. I think the keyword was demanded a trade out of Golden State. This is the guy, and Slater, obviously Shams national reporter. Everybody kind of has an idea who he is. Anthony Slater covers the Warriors and has for quite some time. Yeah. So obviously a lot going on there. Kuminga averaging 11.1 points per game this year. Started the first 12 games. Really hasn't played much of the last 13 games.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on for a guy that was just signed to a contract. They were fighting over the contract over the offseason. And Chad, now he's not even playing, demands he wants out. I don't know who's more at fault. The guy that had a problem with what they were offering him contract-wise gets the contract, and now they're not playing him, so now he wants out? Or, is he at the fault, or is it more so is there something going on in Golden State ever since those championships? And now Durant leaves, and now they let go Klay Thompson, and they try to bring another big three together with Jimmy Butler and Steph and Draymond, but what's in the water right now in Golden State? What's in the water?
I don't know. They've got all kinds of problems. I mean, you've got this all. Sometimes I feel like maybe unfairly, this centers around Draymond Green. Doesn't he seem like every other season there's the pot's getting stirred, right? Am I back with you now? I feel like I was going there for a second.
You're good. You're all good with us.
Yep. Okay, I feel like I was gone for a second. Every other season, I feel like Draymond Green is stirs the pot. There's something just internally in that franchise. Steve Kerr gets a ton of credit for whatever went on, the mid 20 teens or whatever. That obviously had some great teams. They had a great run. Cavs fans I think we're a little bitter about that because that was the Cavs time, right? 4 straight finals appearances. Yeah, he did win one, but it felt like they should have probably had 2 or 3 titles there. And whatever, the Warriors came and snatched that right, from the jaws of the Cavs, dynasty, whatever you want to call it. So maybe that hurts a little bit. I have no idea what's going on with Kuminga. I mean, like you said, 2 years, I think it was $46.5 million or almost $50 million really in the offseason, which we talked about NBA money with the Dodgers. I mean, my goodness, for a guy who's averaging 11 points, 6 rebounds a game. Listen, if you leave me open enough, I can shoot the 3. I still have that, Eli. I'm not playing any defense. That doesn't seem to be important these days. Please, someone sign me. I whatever, whatever it has to be, a 2-way contract, whatever it is, sign me. I'll hit a few threes. I mean, my goodness. Um,
Yeah. No,
I have no idea what's going on. Is my simple answer. I just don't know.
yeah, yeah, I get it. And there's a lot, yeah, a lot to unpack there. I mean, obviously, if like I said, they tried to put the band-aid on it, bringing in Jimmy Butler, a guy who's, I mean, if you watch Jimmy Butler, like, is he gonna wow you every time with stats? No, but he's a proven winner. I mean, as far as getting as close as you can without winning an NBA championship.
Competitively, I mean, he's an absolute dog. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But even that just hasn't worked out. And, I mean, they just haven't found, the right piece, and it seems like franchise wise, they don't really have the guy to carry on after Steph. They were
Where
maybe
do
at
you
one point
go?
they were,
72-10 and 3 titles in 4 years. I mean, where do you go from that?
yeah. I mean, but like, you look at it and it's like you would think if you're the Warriors, Kuminga was a high draft pick, top 10 draft pick not too long ago. So you would think maybe he was the guy to lead them into the future. Just definitely looking like that's not the case anymore. James Wiseman,
By the way, how many top 10 draft picks in the NBA just don't pan out? It's
yeah,
remarkable.
it is. It is another one. James Wiseman in Golden State, the pick before Charlotte takes LaMelo Ball.
Mm.
I just can't help but think sometimes, and I know it pains me as a Cavs fan, but LaMelo Ball and Steph Curry. I mean, I just imagine like, and it would have done wonders. That's a whole what if scenario because having Steph Curry as your mentor in the NBA, I mean, LaMelo probably would be in a whole different situation. He would be. So, but yeah, for Golden State, it's just a mess, right? I mean, what are you going to get out of a Kuminga trade? We just saw Trae Young get traded to Washington, and the return was C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert. And respect to both those guys, but what are we doing here with the second apron? What are we doing with these trades? So what are you going to get out of Jonathan Kuminga in a trade, which leads me to where the Cavs kind of, jump in here because they need something. They absolutely need something, Chad. They for every 2 games they play very well, they have one just what the heck. And, they had a great win against Minnesota, a great win. And then you lose to Utah. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big Lauri Markkanen fan. Like, I rock with them. I think they got some players on Utah that they might have something going for the future. Not now, though. We should not be losing to Utah. And I get
and
it.
The
They
Cavs
had
lost way too many games like that this year. Yeah.
yes, and they had a great win yesterday against Philadelphia. A good win. Now, we wouldn't even probably brought too much up about the Cavaliers if they just won yesterday, and that was that. Because it was a win against a team in Philadelphia that had been playing pretty well. And the Cavs needed that to, the East is so tight right now, playoff positioning, as we're gearing up to get to the halfway point of the season, All-Star break next month. This is like where positioning starts to really, really matter. 15 games in, everybody's going to move after a game. But the fact that it's still like that, it's going to get really important. And the reason we're talking about the Cavs is because Darius Garland exited with appeared to be a foot injury. I'm still waiting to hear news on that, Chad. But I mean, my goodness, man, what is going on with? I mean, not even. I mean, the Cavs is a whole different question. But Darius Garland, it feels like 3 years ago. All star, a guy that like is consistently getting better. He is the guy who's going to be able to be the point guard for this team. And I know the city loves him. I know Cleveland loves him, and I rock with DG. But I'm also aware enough to know that his value was the highest about 2-3 years ago. Yeah. He's had multiple, injuries since then. He hasn't shown up in playoff games when we needed him to. So I guess like my question overall is like, you see a guy like Kuminga who wants out of Golden State. Mm-hmm. If you're the Cavs and you're kind of treading water for the most part, do you look into a Kuminga trade? It doesn't seem like it'll cost you that much. He wants out. Golden State's going to want some sort of return, so they can't really, bang at the table and ask for everything we got. And we're not giving everything we got for Jonathan Kuminga. Right. But maybe that's a spark you need. A guy who's kind of just in his head, he wants to get out of the Bay. If you're Kuminga, you want to go prove yourself somewhere else. We're better than a team that is trying to prove themselves that last year wasn't a, hey, that was the best of the Cavaliers. We'll see you in 5-6 years. It's I don't know. Are you interested in a Kuminga potential trade to Cleveland?
I don't know. Again, these are things that are so hard to forecast. I mean, I think if the Cavs look at Jonathan Kuminga, if he looks and sounds like, hey, all he needs is a change of scenery, right? At 6'7", he gives you that little bit of length. We always talked about Bradley Beal as a wing guy, as a possible guy to bring in here. And I feel like he gives you that kind of a size, 6'7", whatever, good length. Again, 11.6 rebounds, probably not all the way up to his potential right now. But again, potential is such a murky word. I mean, when you talk about these guys, do they ever come close to fulfilling it? Potential can, I mean, you can rock with potential.
Yeah.
Terminology. You can bank on potential all you want. Right now, we've got a guy in Evan Mobley who has all the potential in the world, but doesn't seem to be heading toward making that step where he's a top 5, top 10 guy in the NBA. And the Cavs don't really have much of an identity. So does a DG for Kuminga trade help bring the Cavs identity? I don't know. It just the Cavs are just they're like this listless wandering team with a bunch of talent, but not really a complementary roster, and they don't have an identity. They don't have that perceived, toughness, whether it's mental or physical toughness, whatever it is. Boy, they're just listless. They're just wandering, and they're lost right now. Maybe a change of scenery is good. I don't think you want to, you don't want to mix up the roster too much. But man, I feel for DG because when you have these lower body injuries, especially in the NBA where you're on hardwood, right? Turf toe is a heck of a thing to come back from, and I know no one wants to give him the time, but it's like he needs like a year to let that thing heal. No one wants to give him time. I get it. The fans want him to play. No one's mad at him for the injury, but it starts to get frustrating. I mean, maybe a change of scenery is good. You get him out on the West Coast. He goes and takes the time he needs to heal, and then maybe he can make some kind of contribution to that offense in Golden State. Kuminga comes here. He's the Bradley Beal type guy, the length on the wing, a little bit of defense. Maybe we can ramp that up to 15 and 9, and then all of a sudden that's looking like a pretty good trade. It's not the explosiveness of DG, but I mean, DG and Donovan Mitchell don't really play that well on the floor together right now anyway.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's worth looking at. I guess my long answer is, again, I don't know.
I get it. And, and it's interesting. I mean, obviously the NBA players typically, they range. I guess like now the last few years, it seems like, standard traditional, lineups are still becoming a thing again, but they still have that small ball, some teams lean towards the small ball. Some are going back to that traditional. I think the Cavaliers will want to hurt to look at a lineup that featured Lonzo Ball in the starting lineup if they were to explore a Darius Garland trade, whether for Kuminga, whoever. I think that's going to be the big thing too. Lonzo's been looking a little bit better in the games he's been stepping back into, and I'm curious to see if he's ready to run for this next half of the year, a postseason run, because if he gives the Cavs enough comfortability, then they can always swing some of these other guys into the point guard role and just stand in and just control the offense. I know that sounds a little silly, but I trust a guy like Jalen Tyson after what he's shown me to bring the ball up the court and things like that. So I think Kuminga or somebody, you gotta make something shake, because the way it's going right now, I don't feel very good about talking about Eastern Conference Finals, let alone second round matchups right now.
No. I mean, we're barely talking about the 7th and 8th seed right now. I think this team just needs some grittiness. I mean, they need somebody that's going to come in and be the guy. I mean, that Draymond Green type of player who's willing to deal with kind of be the lightning rod and take the brunt of the crap, right? Or maybe like a Jimmy Butler type competitor. They just have a lot of guys who are very good at what they do, but I don't see a lot of, there's just there's no emotional leadership on that team. They're just sort of, and is that on the head coach? Is that on Kenny Atkins? I have no idea. I mean, I hear people say he's on the hot seat already. Okay, let's pump the brakes on that a minute. Give him a second to get his bearings, right? They had a very hot start last year. It fell apart to the Pacers. The Pacers were a really good team. 2 years ago, it fell apart to the Knicks. I really don't know what happened there. I'm not sure how they got bullied out of that series. But they did. They sure did. And they just – Eli, I don't know, man. They just seem to have not really learned their lesson as far as – I don't want to say they're not tough, but they just – I don't know, man. They just don't really have that – some teams you look at, it's like the 80s Pistons, right, or the 90s Knicks. Like you didn't want to go in the lane. I know you can't really play like that anymore, but the Cavs just don't have anybody you really fear.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, even Detroit, it has guys like Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, excuse me, and you just have guys that are just ready to go to war for their guys. And yeah, I mean, we don't have that here. We haven't had that here for a long time. The Cavs tried to have Tristan Thompson be that guy, and it's just we need somebody that can give you some sort of offense or some sort of defensive presence. can actually give you minutes and be that guy. All respect to Tristan Thompson. He was definitely one of those guys in 2016, those runs.
Yep.
But 2025, it's hard to ask for a lot out of him. And,
For
that's, yeah. So it's just tough. It's tough if you're the Cavaliers. I feel for Darius Garland. I know I've been very vocal on Main Event about he should have been moved probably last year, if not the year before, because his value is just unfortunately, lower and lower the more he keeps getting injured. I do feel for him. I do like Darius Garland, the player. I do, we talk a lot. I think the theme really on some of these shows here on the Inside Edge Network the last few weeks have been reset with the NFL head coaches and things like that. Could be the same. Yeah, could be the same thing for Garland, just needing to reset and get somewhere else and get a fresh mindset. Clearly, it's going to be a thing for one Jonathan Kuminga, as he does not want to be in Golden State and the Bay anymore. Final question I'll ask you on the Cavs, Chad, and then we'll pivot here and we'll get into some divisional round talk for the NFL playoffs. Final question on the Cavs. Kenny Atkinson. You're not concerned about Kenny Atkinson at all, right? I just have to ask because it always comes up when the team's not playing well. The coach is always going to be looked at. They have a winning record. They would be in the playoffs today if the playoffs ended today. But do you feel like Kenny Atkinson has should he take a lot of the brunt of this, like for the start of the season, or do you think it's more on the players?
Well, I mean, the head coach is always going to take the brunt because you really can't get rid of the whole team, right? You can't fire the players, really. You can trade guys. You certainly can't go in and go, "Hey, Donovan Mitchell, I know you're doing your thing here, but it's not working out. You've been good, but we're going to move in a different direction. You're cut," right? Like that's not going to happen. The way that just happened to Kevin Stefanski, where, I mean, maybe Stefanski is the guy. Maybe he would have been the guy. Maybe with another 5 years, the Browns would have won a Super Bowl. Who knows? With just the right roster build. But that's where I look at the Cavs too. Is that roster built the correct way? Do you have the right type of guys? Do you have the right mix of personalities? Because it's not just talent, right? It's not just bringing in a bunch of guys who can hit the three and play a little D, the 3 and D, whatever it's the old saying. It's really just putting a bunch of guys out there on the floor that can score buckets at will, right? You've got to have guys that are good at a little bit of everything. I mean, you've got to have some bench depth. You got to have guys who can run the floor a little bit when your starters when they need a rest in the playoffs or when somebody's in foul trouble. You need the guy who again, the Draymond type of player who's willing to go out there and be the lightning rod. Maybe, get into it a little bit with the other team's best player. Get in his head a little bit. Create some turmoil out there and free up some room for your guys to go do some work. And the Cavs just quietly go about their business. They're under the radar. They're very like a soft-spoken team. They really just don't. And maybe you need a little bit of controversy. Maybe you need a little bit of that flash and glitz and glamour that went along with LeBron when he was here, so the other guys can do their job under the radar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I mean, at this point, we got to see what their plans are for this rest of 2026. I think regardless of what they do right now, I don't think it's going to be earth-shattering what they do right now. I know we talk about Garland trade. That would be a little bit in terms of like franchise altering. That would be a big move. I don't know if they do ultimately make that type of move, but regardless, this offseason is going to be pretty important. Kobe Altman's done a pretty good job of roster construction. Now it's a matter of roster success and getting to the reason you put together a good roster and build a core four is to win a championship. And OKC's done it. Yep. And I mean, granted, they have a core 12. I mean, but they all 12 guys were drafted by them, and they all probably could start on any other team. So sometimes
you catch lightning in a bottle, man.
Yeah, just crazy. We're gonna take a quick pause here, Chad. We're gonna take a moment. We're gonna grab a quick drink. I'm gonna get a caffeinated beverage. You do the same or whatever you're sipping on. And everybody there at home, thanks for tuning in. Kicking it for the rest of your Thursday here on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, I know you got a few more hours to party. But thanks for tuning in on the Inside Edge Network and choosing this as your home to rock out on Thursday topics here. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, we got some playoff games to go over, Chad. NFL, because I was going to say NFC, but the AFC is ready too. The NFL divisional round playoffs are in full force this weekend. We got 4 really, really exciting games, 8 very worthy teams that can win the Super Bowl. So when we come back, we're going to put a bow on this this episode of Thursday Topics, and we are going to talk about the NFL divisional round playoffs. I'm excited. Chad, are you excited?
So excited. I'm so excited to be awake. At my age, being awake at midnight is awesome. I am appreciative of it. Yes, I'm excited to talk about the divisional round, man.
Well, I hope you're all as excited as me and Chad are to talk about the NFL. We're back in just a moment. Thursday topics here on the Inside Edge Network. Follow us on all the socials, Inside Edge Net, and we'll be back in a second. And welcome back, everybody, to Thursday topics here on the Inside Edge Network. I am Eli Moon. To the right of me, left of you is Chad Bryan, and we have talked about quite a lot here. Thank you to everybody tuning in so far. And if you're just tuning in, we've talked about John Harbaugh and the New York Giants. If you missed that news earlier broke last night, reported on this morning and all throughout the day. First heard from the New York Post. And obviously they have talked about John Harbaugh becoming the next coach of the New York Giants, potentially taking his offensive coordinator from Baltimore, Todd Monken, with him. We also talked about what that means for the Browns and the rest of the NFL. We talked about obviously Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers. That just broke right before we got on the air, Chad. Signing a big contract to go be in Los Angeles and go be a Dodger, that is, and do that and what that means for the rest of MLB. And we talked a lot about that. So if you missed any of that, go back and check that out. It'll be on the full link on YouTube, on the Inside Edge Network. Make sure you go check that out. All right. We are going to recap. Oh, and yes, of course, we did talk Kuminga as well. So if you wanted to catch some Kuminga and Cavs discussion, trade stuff, postseason, we're starting to get excited, all that coming in. With that being said, we have one more very important thing to talk about here on this Thursday topics. And Chad, I know you know what weekend this is.
It's a big one. The divisional round of the NFL playoffs, where the Browns have been really only in our dreams. I've been there. It's just been a while. It's been a while since those games have really meant anything to the Browns as well. But maybe
Yeah.
one day they'll get back. Maybe one day, Eli, we'll be so excited to break down. I don't know, a Browns Steelers matchup in the divisional round, or a Browns Chargers, it doesn't matter. I don't care who they play. I just want them to go 10-6. Well, I guess it'd be 10-7 now. 10-7, 11-6, make the
Yeah.
playoff noise, go deep. I don't know, whatever. It would just be
Yeah.
fun. But whatever, here we are. It's still fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is fun. It is fun, but I agree. It would be a lot more nice if it was, we had some orange and brown in
Yeah,
this divisional round.
wouldn't that be
We
nice?
do have some orange. We'll talk about them in the AFC.
For sure.
And we have some very interesting teams. When we mentioned the orange, let's pivot to the AFC first. Obviously, we talked about the Denver Broncos, as we're hinting at here. They play at home against the Buffalo Bills. And then you have the Houston Texans taking on the New England Patriots. Now, remember, to all you fans out there, these games will not take place on the same day. We'll have one AFC game on Saturday, one on Sunday. And then, of course, we have the NFC. To let all our NFC fans out there know, Chad, we have the 49ers at the Seahawks and the Rams at the Bears.
Yes.
So very, very interesting matchups here. So it leads me to this question for you. What NFL divisional round playoff game are you most excited for this weekend, Chad? We have in the AFC, Denver and Buffalo in Denver. We have Houston and New England in New England. And then NFC, obviously you have 3 NFC West teams. First time since a few years ago with the NFC East. I believe it was 2022 with the NFC East. Those are the only 2 times, this year and that year, where a division had 3 teams in the divisional round. And the West did that. So you got San Fran at Seattle, and then LA, the Rams at the Bears. So which one are you excited about the most?
This is kind of tough. I mean, listen, it's regardless of whatever you thought about, the Patriots with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. There's also something kind of comforting about playoff football in New England and the Northeast and the bitterly cold, Foxborough Stadium, whatever. It's kind of fun to see, right? Like you like to see the divisional round, the AFC Championship game run through New England. That's fun.
Yeah.
But Bills Broncos is kind of cool. It's like Josh Allen versus Bo Nix, the playoff mainstay versus like kind of the new guy, right? 49ers Seahawks has a lot. You can, if you're an Ohio State fan, you can watch Jackson Smith and Jigba do some things. The 49ers are just like this. I don't understand how they do. Everybody's injured. Everybody's out. The whole defense is gone. I still don't think Fred Warner is going to play. I'm not sure about what he's doing. Anyway, the Niners just keep – it doesn't matter who they have at quarterback. Like you said, you can plug and play pretty much anybody. I mean, the Niners might be able to put me out there at quarterback and win 8 or 9 games. It's wild. I don't get what their offensive system is, but please, can we study it and bring some of it to Cleveland so we can have success at the quarterback position, please? But maybe I think what I'm most excited is I think I'm excited to see this Bears-Rams game. I think that has the potential to be maybe the best game as far as watchability. I think Texans-Patriots is going to be it'll be low scoring, right? 2 good defenses going at it. But I think Rams-Bears has this potential to be this back and forth kind of a track meet kind of thing. And I'm here for it, man. I would love to see it. We'll see what happens.
I love it. A lot of good games, and you bring up Rams and Bears. I like that one, but honestly, the game that I think is going to be the most intriguing is the 49ers and Seahawks. I'm going to stay there in that NFC. In all due respect to the AFC games, I think for Josh Allen, in Denver, that's a rematch of, they played in the playoffs last year, albeit in Buffalo, but they did play last year in the playoffs. You have that Josh Allen, is he going to get to the Super Bowl? Is he finally going to do it? We'll see. And then New England, obviously, the start of a new dynasty, maybe we'll see. And Houston, can they finally make some noise to where, they get to the AFC Championship game and they win and they make some noise. So we'll see. Really, overall, 49ers and Seahawks excites me the most because at the end of the day, you're sitting looking at a 49ers team that ultimately shouldn't be in the position they're in. They have had Mac Jones start for them for a stretch of time. this season, and he won games for them, and it looked like they didn't miss a beat. The fact that their starting quarterback was at one point known as Mr. Irrelevant, and, Brock Purdy is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Christian McCaffrey has stayed healthy, which is usually we're having a discussion about him missing a few games this year, or, in a season. He hasn't. The fact that they're doing this, they just lost George Kittle. Obviously, if you didn't see, for everybody out there tuning in, the game and the announcement right after, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan had announced George Kittle tore his Achilles in the win against the Eagles. So he's out for the rest of the postseason. So it's just amazing how the 49ers are here. You mentioned Fred Warner. Fred Warner won't be active. They actually announced that 49ers announced today they will not activate Fred Warner for this Seattle game. The hope is they win this game in Seattle and they can activate him for the NFC Championship game, right? And he's just got a 2-game run. And obviously missing a lot of guys on defense. The fact that the Niners are in this position is remarkable. The fact that the Seahawks are in this position is remarkable. They're doing this with they cut ties from Geno Smith, said, you know what, you take your chance on yourself, elsewhere. We appreciate you. And, they rather took Sam Darnold, who we as NFL fans 4 or 5 years ago were ready to write off. And now he's in a postseason appearance again with another team in the NFC. The strongest performance to date for Sam Darnold as, this number 1 seeded Seahawks team sits. You mentioned JSN, the 2-headed backfield with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, AJ Barner at tight end is really starting to make some noise. I feel like he's one of the young bloomers in terms of like the tight end position for the NFL. Yeah. And ultimately, Mike Macdonald, we mentioned Clint Kubiak, but Mike Macdonald is doing a tremendous job as the Seahawks head coach. But it doesn't matter for this season if he can't get past his division rival. This is a division rival. You're at home. This is not only an important game for Sam Darnold, but it's an important game for Mike Macdonald and the Seahawks organization. It can really start to change who has control of the NFC. We just saw the Eagles fall to the 49ers last weekend, and we don't know. There's a ton of questions on the Eagles. Do they even like each other anymore? So,
right.
The NFC is wide open.
Like Sirianni, I feel like he drives that energy, right? Like he's got this like chip on his shoulder. He's just always into it with somebody about something. It's something to keep an eye on. It's just my opinion. I could be
totally. It is. Well, it definitely is something to keep an eye on. There's always some sort of drama in Philly, Chad. And, you see with Philly and these teams, there's really not been a stranglehold on the NFC. Yeah. Seattle can start to do that right now. They have a young core. Walker, Charbonnet still have, tread on the tires, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I just mentioned Barner, JSN, young guy. They are in a great position. Sam Darnold, even if they decide that, hey, he is our guy, he's still young enough where he is our guy, at least for the next 5, 6, 7 years, have some sort of stability. So it's going to be interesting. This is a big game for Seattle, big game for San Francisco, too. They're trying to get back to the Super Bowl and actually win it. And with the Super Bowl being in a pretty prime location for the 49ers, this is a big one, Chad. This is the chance. And here's the cool thing for the 49ers and 49ers fans out there. If they get there, they don't have to play Patrick Mahomes. There's actually no world where they play Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. So I'm excited. I think you mentioned Rams and Bears could be a shootout. I think the same thing with the Niners and Seahawks, especially them having that division battle for the NFC West to end the season. Seattle just absolutely stifling San Francisco. Yeah. I think this could be San Francisco's so excited. And, so you saw Jawan Jennings after the game. They asked him about, hey, you're rematching in Seattle, how do you feel? And he goes, can't wait. Almost like reminiscent of Bart Scott back in the day. But I'm excited. And it's not to say anything about the AFC games, but it just feels like these 2 NFC games are just going to be slobber knockers, as, one Jim Ross would say.
Yeah, they're good matchups. And listen, one thing that I guess I was just looking at the weather here while you were talking in Chicago on Sunday. It's going to be 17 degrees. I know Matt Stafford has not fared well in weather under 40. I think he's 1-9 when he plays when it's under 40 degrees. So maybe that factors into, maybe that keeps it from being a track meet. Maybe that's, maybe that puts it in the Bears' hands. Listen, I don't care where you play. 17 degrees is cold. It's not comfortable for a quarterback to go out and play in 17-degree weather. I don't care if Caleb Williams, Matt Stafford, doesn't matter. That's going to be a tough day. It's going to be tough to catch a ball in 17-degree weather. The football gets really, really hard when it's that cold and your hands just It's unbelievable. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, you can take a page out of the Tom Brady handbook and just get a couple of pounds out of the ball, right? Soften it up a little bit. You got to do what you got to do, allegedly.
Dude, it's. I'll tell you this. Another. You mentioned Stafford though. Another stat that's interesting is he's 12-10 against Chicago Bears. We talked about last week. The Bears needed to beat the Packers, the franchise that is their arch rival, and they need the. They were just tormented by Favre and then Rodgers, and they can't be tormented by Jordan Love, and it seems like they took care of that at least for now. They are 12-10. Or excuse me, Matthew Stafford is 12-10 lifetime in his career against the Bears
Yeah.
between Lions and Rams. And I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to see like what the stat really was because he spent a lot of time in the NFC, that division, the NFC North with the Lions and the Bears, and oh my, but it's interesting. Matthew Stafford has looked vulnerable at times, even near the end of the game against Carolina till that 2-minute drive.
Yeah. He's 37.
This, yeah, this is the Bears' chance. I mean, this is the Bears' chance, and if we're looking at a position where we're talking about if Bears win and Niners win, Soldier Field's hosting an NFC Championship game next weekend.
And this may be the first time in franchise history that the Bears have truly had a franchise quarterback. I mean, think of all. I just think of all the. I mean, it's been bad, right? I mean, you've got Jay Cutler's pretty close to that. Jim McMahon won a Super Bowl there in the 80s. He was by no means, a franchise quarterback. Fun personality, it fit perfectly on those teams or whatever. It's just so funny with Mike Ditka as the head coach. You've got Jim McMahon, the complete polar opposite in personalities. Walter Payton's, we have the Walter Payton Man of the Year. And then here's Jim McMahon, mooning helicopters in pregame or whatever. It's whatever. It was a fun team to watch. But, yeah, the Bears have never really truly had an elite franchise quarterback, and maybe Caleb Williams is turning into that guy now.
Yeah, very exciting, very exciting. And to that note, Caleb Williams on the NFC side, that's really the young gun in the NFC, and then AFC Stroud, Drake May, Bo Nix, and then the guy who just hasn't got there yet to the promised land, Josh Allen.
Man,
and that's the biggest story in the AFC is who's knocking out Josh Allen, or is he sick of getting knocked out before he gets to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, all the struggles with Patrick Mahomes, and I really thought the AFC again would come down to Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, so that kind of triumvirate of whoever got there and whoever played each other would knock each other out, and then you see whatever the next round. But yeah, here we are. I mean, Josh Allen has no Lamar Jackson to deal with. He has no Patrick Mahomes to deal with. But now he's got the really good Denver Broncos to deal with, right? But Bo Nix can be a little inconsistent. So if Bo Nix has one of those games, then, there it is. Josh Allen onto the AFC Championship, the Bills go. This is their chance. This feels like the Bills' chance to finally win the Super Bowl, right?
If not this year, when? As a Browns fan, when, Buffalo?
You've got that defense is so good in Houston. You've got, New England's on the rise with Mike Vrabel and Drake May. It's like you got to catch them this year, right now, or else how good can the Patriots be next year, right?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. A lot of great NFL playoff action. As we just recapped, 4 great games. Me and Chad tend to lean towards the NFC side in terms of our most excited game of the week, or what we're most excited for game of the weekend. But don't sleep on the AFC. They got some great games too, as we just talked about.
Really good quarterbacks in the AFC, yeah.
It's kind of like a Star Wars movie. I've never seen Star Wars, but I'd imagine that's like what a Star Wars movie is like. It's like what Josh Allen's doing. He's like the Last Jedi or something. Is that close?
I'm not a Star Wars guy. I don't know. We get you
look at that, Chad.
I can't verify, but listen, I also can't deny it either. So yeah, sure, you're right.
Okay, Rob Rizicki would be so mad at me right now, and he'll probably watch this and tell me on Main Event that he's not happy that I just completely made up a Star Wars movie or something. That probably is it. I don't know.
Sometimes you gotta get the bat off your shoulder, Eli. Sometimes you gotta take the bat off your shoulder.
Just like Papa Moon said, and that's how we'll close this thing out. Thank you so much to everybody out there tuning in. It is officially past midnight on the East Coast, so your Friday and your weekend is just about to get rolling. If you're on the West Coast, don't worry, it's right around the corner, but you have a few hours left in your day. Thank you for spending it with us here on the Inside Edge Network. We are going to have a bunch of different talents here from the Inside Edge Network mixing in here with us on Thursday topics. So you won't necessarily see me and Chad next week, but I'm sure we'll get back together and discuss some stuff here soon. But you'll see plenty of the talent. We want to make sure you get familiar with all of us. So again, Chad Bryan, illegal formation with TK Dandridge. As he told you, he's trying to get back in that Saturday morning role for 11 a.m.s we're looking for. Obviously leads, runs the NFL, the Inside Edge Network NFL preview show with TK Dandridge and Ryan Mosser. So make sure you stay tapped in with him. And then obviously we'll see what goes on when the NFL ends. Where else you can catch Chad at here on the Inside Edge Network. And then myself, Eli Moon, I'm on the main event Sunday evenings around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Producing Real Talk with Papa Moon Saturdays at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, Conversations with Eli Moon just started. Like I said, my big brother narrator from Lahele, my music collective I'm a part of. We just did the interview on Tuesday. Go check it out. All of the shows we have done since September, since the network has been really been founded, created, is available on YouTube. So if you were wanting to go check out some of Chad's stuff with TK, go check out myself a main event or Papa Moon or the Jersey Chasers with Autumn and Christie. I mean, we have a lot of great stuff here. Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast with Double A and Kyle. Papa Moon, just great stuff here. Great stuff. Go check it out. It'll fill your week up with a lot of good stuff. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Make sure that you follow the Inside Edge Net on TikTok, Twitter, IG, YouTube, and Facebook at Inside Edge Net. Chad, any final words here on this Thursday/Friday evening, Thursday evening/Friday morning for our viewers?
No, just really, get out there on MySpace and make us your top 5 friends on MySpace. That's important too. Remember in MySpace it would take an hour for the page to load? You said all the socials, and I'm like, how do you leave out MySpace, man?
That's fair.
We gotta do something on Snapchat, and eventually OnlyFans is coming. No, I'm kidding. It's after midnight. No network OnlyFans. We're not doing that. Excited for some good football this weekend. Like Eli said, we'll be doing the preview show, the pregame show rather, where we'll really break down those 4 games. Then also we're going to do a fun thing. We'll take a look ahead at the Browns draft. We're just going to look at offensive linemen this weekend. So this Sunday, if you're hey, take a left tackle guy, you're going to love the show because we're going to break down not every offensive line. We don't have that kind of time, but we're going to break down some of our favorite offensive linemen. Maybe the Browns can look at whether it's first round, second round, third round depth. We talked about building from the inside out. That'll be Sunday on the show, as well as obviously we're going to break down the 4 games for you as well. So don't miss that.
I love it. You're Chad. You know where to be this weekend. I know where I'll be. I'll be checking out what next offensive lineman the Cleveland Browns should be selecting in April. So with that being said, for Chad Bryan, I'm Eli Moon. This is Thursday Topics here on the Inside Edge Network. Stay safe. Get the weekend rocking. Stay safe doing so that we can all talk about the NFL playoffs come next week. For Chad Bryan, I'm Eli Moon. See ya.